What if your only companion in the dead of night was a flickering flame trapped inside a ceramic pot? The midnight walk doesn't scream horror. It whispers it, softly, intimately, like a secret you're not supposed to hear. From the first frame, it lures you into a world sculpted in clay and shadow, where every crooked tree and distant howl feels hand-stitched by something not quite human. It's not just a game, it's a hallucination you can't wake up from. You are the burnt one. Your mission? To lead a fragile ember through a dreamscape of nightmares toward Moon Mountain. But this journey isn't about reaching a destination, it's about surviving the space in between. The silence, the watching eyes, the things that only move when you're not looking. There's no sword to swing, no gun to fire, only light. And the crushing weight of knowing it can go out at any moment. This isn't your typical horror game. This is vulnerability turned into gameplay. Fear, handcrafted in clay, and if you think you're ready for it, think again. Because the midnight walk doesn't wait for you to be brave. It dares you to walk anyway. Beneath the eerie glow of a never-ending night, the midnight walk unfolds not as a typical horror game, but as a surreal road trip through forgotten memories and haunted spaces. It's a journey split into 6 self-contained chapters, each presenting a twisted vignette stitched together by a central path, an actual midnight walk to a distant, looming peak known only as Moon Mountain. The goal seems simple: reach the mountain, but in this world, simplicity is an illusion. The world is handcrafted in stop-motion clay, dripping with eerie charm and unsettling beauty. From the swampy ruins of abandoned towns to tight metro corridors that hum with invisible danger, every chapter feels like a lost storybook, rewritten by your nightmares. Along the road, you'll encounter recurring characters, like the soulful banjo-playing fisherman or a cryptic two-headed soothsayer. They don't fight, they don't flee, they just exist, whispering fragments of lore that add to the dreamlike melancholy of your path. Gameplay blends stealth, light puzzle-solving, and adventure. You guide Potboy, your living flame companion, through broken worlds that challenge your wit, timing, and patience. But there's more than mechanics at play here. There's mood, tension, a sense of unease that lingers even when nothing is chasing you. The Midnight Walk doesn't just build a world, it builds a feeling. One you won't forget. At its core, The Midnight Walk is a game about control, and the quiet horror of slowly losing it. It doesn't rely on brute force or flashy combat. Instead, it gives you something far more delicate: Potboy. A tiny clay companion that flickers. With life and light, Potboy is both your guide and your burden. You don't command him like a tool. You plead with him, often watching helplessly as he stumbles into walls or gets caught behind scenery, his pathfinding flawed, his presence fragile. Yet when it works, it's magical. Guiding Potboy to light. Candles in a specific order to unlock pathways or trigger moving platforms brings a soft rhythm to the gameplay. It's puzzle-solving, but not in the traditional sense. There's no grid, no logic pattern, just you, your flame, and the fear of losing it. To ease the frustration, the game later grants you a match launcher, letting you ignite objects from afar. It doesn't replace Potboy, but it feels like breathing. Room, a small relief from the helplessness, but the game never lets you get too comfortable. That's the point. The mechanics are simple on paper: crouch to sneak, light candles, use flame to solve, but layered with emotional tension. Every action feels like a gamble. Every quiet room hides a possibility of chaos. It's not about mastering the system, it's about enduring the uncertainty. The Midnight Walk makes you feel not like a hero, but like a survivor with a flicker of hope clutched in trembling hands. If the Midnight Walk has a beating heart, it pulses in the dark, rhythmic, unpredictable, and full of dread. This isn't horror through gore or bloodshed. It's the slow, suffocating fear of being watched. The stealth system, while mechanically minimal, becomes a vessel for raw tension. You crouch, you listen, and you pray your light doesn't betray you. From the moment you first glimpse a crawler, stitched face twitching in the shadows, you realize survival isn't about fighting back. It's about disappearing. When you're spotted, the screen dims. Your heartbeat rises and you run, desperate for a closet, a corner, a place to vanish. There's no weapon, only breath and the choice to hold it. But the game takes it a step further. Some sequences strip you of even your vision, forcing you to close your eyes to hear better, navigating blindly while something stalks behind you. Others push psychological boundaries, like puzzles that demand you stare directly at a monster's face to escape, confronting fear not by fleeing, but by acknowledging it. It's elegant, it's terrifying, and it works. The horror here is layered, part visual, part sound design, part existential. You never feel safe, but you're never quite overwhelmed. Instead, the Midnight Walk tightens its grip inch by inch until even silence starts to scream. This is fear, not as a mechanic, but as a mood, as presence, as truth. The Midnight Walk doesn't just take you through a horror landscape. It invites you into a living, breathing fever dream, sculpted in clay and madness. Every chapter feels like cracking open a strange old storybook, only to find its pages warped by fire and memory. The environments are not only surreal, they're alive with detail. One moment, you're wandering a rotting swamp lit by ghostly lanterns. The next, you're creeping through a cluttered metro system where time seems frozen mid-collapse. There's an almost whimsical darkness to it all, a visual contradiction that keeps your mind constantly unsettled. Victorian-era teacups, half buried in twisted soil. Giant, humanoid silhouettes wandering in the background, never explained. Glass bottles embedded in cave walls, their bottoms forming windows to spy on something, watching you. These aren't just set pieces, they're whispers from a world that's dreaming of itself. And that dream is deeply unstable. Each location feels self-contained, yet stitched together by a consistent art direction, an aesthetic that draws from Tim Burton, yes, but also dives deeper into something rawer, stranger. The blending of real-world objects with abstract horrors gives the game a tactile, almost mythological atmosphere. You're never sure if you're walking through memory, imagination, or nightmare, but that's the brilliance. In the Midnight Walk, the world is the monster, and each chapter is its latest disguise. For all its surreal beauty and atmospheric depth, the Midnight Walk remains, at its core, a linear experience. That's not necessarily a flaw, it's a deliberate choice. Each chapter is a carefully contained environment designed to evoke a specific mood, a distinct kind of fear. But with such rich, textured worlds, there's an undeniable longing to go deeper, to peel back more layers, to explore the strange alleys you can only glance at from afar. Yes, there is exploration. You're free to wander when not being stalked by nightmares. You'll find collectibles tucked into corners, vinyl records, shell phones, audio logs, and odd sentimental trinkets that hint at forgotten stories. But these are more like museum pieces than gameplay drivers, interesting to find, but not enough to pull you back once the story ends. That's where the game stumbles. Its first 4 chapters feel full, emotionally resonant. But the final 2? Abrupt, short, lacking the same weight and interactivity. There's a creeping sense that development was cut short, or a deadline arrived too soon. You feel it, not in bugs or polish, but in pacing and ambition. And while the 5-hour playtime is satisfying for a one-sitting journey, the replay value is minimal. No branching paths, no alternate endings, just echoes. In a world this rich, the silence of what could have been is loud. The Midnight Walk gives you a haunting dream, but leaves you wishing it had lasted just a little longer. When the final steps of the Midnight Walk fade into darkness, what lingers isn't the fear, it's the feeling. The soft crunch of clay beneath your feet, the distant echo of a banjo on a moonlit highway. The quiet realization that you weren't just walking through a game. You were walking through something lost. This isn't a story of heroism or triumph. There's no final boss to slay, no epic reward waiting on the mountaintop. Instead, there's reflection, a slow burn, a strange kind of peace wrapped in unease. Like waking from a dream you didn't want to end, even though you were terrified the entire time. You'll remember Potboy, the flickering companion who never spoke, but never left your side. You'll remember the monsters, not just for their grotesque design, but for what they represented. Anxiety, helplessness, the creeping dread of the unknown. And maybe, just maybe, you'll remember how you reacted in those moments, when the light was failing, and all you had was instinct. The Midnight Walk isn't just a game. It's an echo chamber for your emotions. Quiet, haunting, beautiful. So, did it get under your skin? If it did, share this journey. Let others feel what you felt. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones we shout about. They're the ones we whisper in the dark.